What can the Indianapolis Colts expect from Shane Steichen this year? Well, to get that answer, we're going to somebody who has watched him very closely for the past 2 years. Welcome to the Horseshoe Huddle podcast presented by Fan Nation on SI.com. My name is Andrew Moore, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow writer there at Horseshoe Huddle, Drake Wally. Drake, how you doing, man? The combine is less than a week away. We're going to be talking all about prospects here, but I think Shane Steichen is still new enough, and we need some more details on the man. But how are you doing, Drake?
Oh, I'm doing very well. A little bit sad about the Bubba Ventrone news, but with the combine coming up, there's going to be probably a full coaching staff ready to go, and just excited to see the prospects and who the Colts might put in a horseshoe for the 2023 season.
Absolutely. And hey, we'll talk about Bubba Ventrone tonight as well. Pretty big loss for the Indianapolis Colts, and they're going to have to do quite a bit to really get somebody to replace Bubba Ventrone. And we've already got people in the chat. JB, always good to see you. Josh, great to see you as well. You guys are always the loyal listeners, and people that haven't joined on the Horseshoe Huddle train. Listen, we're gonna I might as well just put the ticker up right now. Go ahead and follow all of the things. Go ahead and like Horseshoe Huddle on Facebook. Go ahead and follow at Colts on FN on Twitter. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Hit that bell so you know whenever we're going live, as I know Steve has already done. Great to see you, buddy. And listen, we're on the way trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here. We're really trying to, as well as Destin and Shad, we're building this train. So you want to jump on here. But tonight, listen, guys, we have a very, very special guest, a man that really needs no introduction. I mean, you've seen him on NFL Network next to Rich Eisen. You've seen him asking the hard-hitting questions at the Super Bowl. You've seen him talking to multiple players, interviewing Jalen Hurts, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, just to name a few of these big names. Very close personal friends with a man that used to be in Indy here, Carson Wentz, and someone that's definitely going to give us all the lowdown on Shane Steichen. A Pat McAfee, close personal friend as well. The man, I already said it, needs no introduction, Giovanni Hamilton. How's it going, Gio?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, we're great to have Gio on, the host of the Giovanni Show. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check that out. Gio's podcast is phenomenal. It's always a great listen. But hey, man, I gotta ask before we dive into all the Colt stuff here. You had a trip of a lifetime just a couple weeks ago. Your Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl. You got to go out there and experience it all, be part of the media. Tell us about that experience there in Glendale.
Oh, what an amazing experience. So we landed the Saturday night before the Super Bowl. We have we got there at the airport and everything started falling apart. Our rental car didn't come through. We couldn't get a rental car. We're trying to get an Uber. We don't know where the Uber is. And then so it's like a whole roller coaster. We finally get back to our hotel and it's like 12 o'clock. We order pizza and then we just go to sleep. I'm up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm hyped for this Super Bowl. We get there at the stadium. I get my credentials and I just go to work. And just, I really haven't let the Eagles loss sink in because I just kind of had to work through this. And being able to ask Jalen Hurts such an amazing question and get such an amazing response from him was just amazing. And to be able to talk to a indie guy himself, Nick Sirianni, he hugged me. So to be able to talk to him was awesome too. So just a great experience. Can't wait for the combine. Gonna be there every day interviewing people. Cannot wait for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to knock it out of the park, but it's,
yeah.
I mean, Nick Sirianni. I know some Colts fans didn't exactly like how Nick Sirianni kind of handled things with the whole firing of Frank Reich, and then what he said when the Eagles came and beat the Colts. But my opinion is, hey, if you didn't want Nick Sirianni saying that was for Frank Reich, shouldn't have let the Eagles beat the Colts. So I'm a big fan of Nick Sirianni. Love what he brings. Colts loyalist friend of the show saying, bringing some class to the channel. Welcome, Gio. So you've already got a fan. And of course, the third member of our show, Stats Matt, is always getting into arguments about Anthony Richardson out there. But hey, at least he's able to join us. So Gio, let's dive right in. And we all want to know, obviously, Shane Steichen was there, helped your boy Jalen Hurts become a fantastic quarterback there in Philadelphia, and helped really boost this Eagles offense. And now I think that's one of the main reasons that he is with Indianapolis at this time. So you're obviously a huge Eagles fan. You're an Eagles expert, in my opinion, and you've watched Shane Steichen really grow up there in Philadelphia. So what kind of coach are the Colts getting in Shane Steichen?
I feel like you're getting a number of things. You're getting a good leader. You're getting somebody who was a past quarterback coach who can lead this quarterback that we draft, whichever quarterback it is, to lead them into many victories and kind of mold them into the franchise quarterback that we need here in Indy. And he's been a defensive coordinator. He's been an offensive coordinator. Like we need a guy like him in town to help on both sides of the football. Obviously, we know that man can lead an offense because, oh my God, this year for the Eagles, oh my God, seeing Jalen Hurts perform the way that he did, I think it was a mixture of Nick Sirianni and Shane. I think Shane played a crazy role in the Jalen Hurts success that we saw this year. So I think that we got a good one in Shane as a head coach here, and I cannot wait to see many Colts victories to come in the future this year.
And Gio, you've already got a fan. Sarah says, "I love Gio. You're amazing. You melt my heart." So you're already crushing it here. Wyatt Law, loyal listener, listening to those more in the know than I. Wyatt Law is a smart man. And then Nathan asking, who will replace Bubba Ventrone? We're going to talk about Bubba Ventrone a little bit later in the episode, so make sure you stick around for that. But yeah, I mean, what Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni did with the Eagles the last couple years has been outstanding. I know Drake has been a big fan of kind of what they've been doing, and I know Drake has obviously given them their props as well.
Oh yeah, and one of my favorite things about Steichen is that that wild card loss last year. You saw the ball get placed all over the field. It was kind of hitting the dirt, and people were a little bit harsh on Jalen Hurts, but things just flipped in that man's mind, and the way that Steichen and, as you said, Gio Sirianni, they were both just able to kind of tandem this thing and turn this quarterback who wasn't really supposed to be able to throw the ball into, in my opinion, he should have been the second player in NFL history to win a Super Bowl MVP in a loss. I mean, the guy had 4 touchdowns, 374 yards of scrimmage, 304 through the air. He was the entire offense. The Chiefs took away Miles Sanders. They took away Boston Scott, and they took away Kenneth Gainwell. They didn't take away Jalen Hurts, though. So I think I think that what he's been able to do really gets me excited. It should get every single Colts fan excited. And the fact that you said that, everything you said about Steichen gets me even more excited. So thank you for those words.
And Drake, before you ask Gio your question, we've got one from the chat from Eddie James. Gio, what quarterback do you prefer in this upcoming draft? That's all going to be all the rage just the next couple months for Colts fans. So if you've had a chance to look at these quarterbacks, which one do you think would fit perfectly for Indianapolis?
Oh, it's got to be the one man that I'm looking to interview this week coming up, CJ Stroud.
My guy.
He could be the perfect fit here in Indy, and I feel like we need him here in Indy. He can be that franchise guy with Steichen.
Yeah,
Nice.
see, Gio and I on the same page. Both Stroud guys. Gio's a smart man. So, Drake, go ahead and ask Gio your question.
So, the Colts had some struggles, obviously, in several position groups. Now it could be a mixture of coaching or just like, a hectic season. But in your opinion, with the talent the Colts have, which position group will benefit the most? Now, I would like to remove quarterback because I personally think that if we're including that, that's probably the one that's going to benefit the most. But outside of quarterback, which offensive group do you think is going to benefit from a Steichen leadership?
Oh, the running back core. I think that we've seen Jonathan Taylor's potential already. We saw this past year. My guy Kenneth Gainwell, who I'm close friends with, went off. Miles Sanders went off. I do think that Miles Sanders will not be back this year for the Eagles. But I think that Kenneth Gainwell can be that leader, that number one running back, and I feel like a lot of that was Steichen and his coaching. I feel like he's going to do a great job of that here in Indy with Jonathan Taylor. So I'm ready to see him unleash Jonathan Taylor on all these defenses.
Yeah, that's something that's really stood out to me when watching the Eagles. I mean, pretty much all year, whenever I could catch an Eagles game. But when you're talking specifically about the playoffs, I mean, you really saw those running schemes that Shane Steichen was implementing just go off. I mean, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, and Jalen Hurts, and a lot of the credit goes to those big guys on the offensive line. In my opinion, the best offensive line in the game with the Philadelphia Eagles opening those running lanes. But it just seemed like he kept, it doesn't matter if it was the Giants, if it was the 49ers, it didn't matter. And even the Chiefs, to an extent, it didn't really matter which team they were facing. They had success running the ball. And I think that credit goes to Steichen for those creative looks in the running game. And then obviously the players as well for being able to go out there and execute it. So, and then kind of piggybacking all that, we saw that especially this year, but I'm sure that was prevalent in 2021 as well. What are some of the things that you saw Shane Steichen get better at over his time with the Eagles from his first year there, taking over the play calling to the Super Bowl this past year?
I feel like the obvious answer is Jalen Hurts. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's just the answer that everybody knows that that's the safe answer. You know, you see Jalen Hurts go from the running back to the offensive threat that he was, just the dual threat quarterback that he has become. I think that if Shane Steichen did not help him become that guy, I don't know where we'd be at.
Well, and there was actually something I was going to piggyback on what you just said, Gio, is what gets me excited about that running back group, which that was such a great answer because I it was a little warm in the Colts cave here, but I've got a sweatshirt over there that says "Run the damn ball." All right, I love running the football, and they had Gainwell, they had Scott, who was the goal line guy, and they had the overall guy who was Sanders. Well, they got Jonathan Taylor, they've got Zach Moss, and they've got Deion Jackson, and they each have their own skill set. And each one of these guys, from Stroud all the way to Richardson, they can at least move in the pocket. It's not Ryan and Foles again. So I'm right there with you. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with yet another running back committee, hopefully a hard hitting offensive line this season. So I'm also excited though to go with the easy answer to see what he's going to do with a rookie quarterback. It's going to be quite something.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. As Stats Matt says, Shane Steichen's scheme can help the offensive line as well. Did you see that with the Eagles, Gio? That a lot of the things Steichen implemented kind of took the pressure off the Philly offensive line.
Oh yeah, we saw the offensive line just completely become better throughout this entire season. What play did we use the most when it was like 4th and 1, 4th and 2? It was the QB sneak because our offensive line was just that good. We could just give it to Jalen Hurts, easy first down. We didn't have to worry. It was 4 down territory every drive. Like I feel like just having that offensive line with Steichen, he can really make this offensive line amazing with guys like Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, and it definitely helps when you have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who has tree trunks for legs and can keep moving that pile. I mean, he is incredibly strong. And then
About 600 pounds.
yeah, squat
Yeah, there you
600
go.
pounds. That's absolutely insane. And Zach's loving it too, saying this is awesome. So, guys, if you have questions for Gio, make sure you're throwing them in the chat. I'll throw them up there for you. I know Drake's got another one for you.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was really curious about is do you think that Shane Steichen, I mean, he in his presser, in his introductory presser, he was one of the most amazing things that I liked about his presser is, well, two things. Every sentence had weight. He wasn't just talking to talk, and he thanked he thanked individual players by name. So, do you think that with him coming to Indianapolis, do you think that there's some players he's going to bring with him from Philly? Probably some, free agents right now. And if so, who do you think that he brings to Indianapolis?
Um, we have a long list of free agents. I think that I think this is the biggest list of free agents we've seen in a few years. Like there is so many free agents. I think that he could potentially get something working with Miles Sanders, which I think would be cool. I don't really I think that there's going to be a lot of Howie Roseman restructuring contracts so he can keep all the boys together. But I do think that if he can get Miles Sanders here, Super Bowl bound.
That'd be a
Okay.
dangerous team. As Sarah says, I want Isaac. Is it Siamola? Is that how you pronounce?
Samalu.
Samalu. Okay, yeah. I mean, he would be an instant plug and play guy at right guard. I don't know if he's going to leave that Philly offensive line, but a guy that I think, and it could also be a good. I don't want to say bridge necessarily, but like a veteran backup is Gardner Minshew. And I know a lot of Colts fans would love to see the mustache Don in the horseshoe. He's just a heck of a character, but he's a great teammate. You hear that by a lot of his former teammates that he's always there. He's a great teammate, a great locker room guy, and I think it's somebody that honestly could really help a rookie quarterback coming in this year.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, there was actually there was one more guy. I was kind of curious about your thoughts, Gio. What do you think is going to happen with James Bradbury? See, the Colts, they may or may not, trade Kenny Moore. They might keep him, but even if they do you think that Bradbury hitting 30 by the time the league year the regular season starts, do you think that he's going to stay in an Eagles uniform? Does he go back to the Giants? Could he go to the Colts? Like, do you think that he's going to stay in Philly?
I think that he will stay in Philly. I think that's where he wants to be. I don't think that the Colts should trade Kenny Moore. And that is with no bias. Kenny Moore is my guy, but I think that Kenny Moore has just shown so much potential over the years to throw it away, all that potential away for one bad year this past year. And it wasn't even a bad year. The whole team was kind of down and out. So
Yeah.
I think that we ride with Kenny.
Like it.
Yeah, and when Kenny Moore's on his game, he's the best slot cornerback in the league. I fully believe that. And yeah, he might have had a bad year. He was banged up a little bit. That certainly contributed to it. But there was a lot of guys that had some down years. So yeah, I mean, I think Kenny Moore can still contribute at a very high level on this team. And I'd be interested to see what a second year in the Gus Bradley system would be able to do for Kenny Moore, and also kind of see how Gus Bradley could kind of use Kenny Moore's strengths in this defense to really help take it to a different level. Wyatt Law's got a question for you. He's like, can Gio recommend an Eagles coach for the Colts vacant special teams coordinator position? I know there's a lot of people wondering who's going to take Bubba's job, and there's a very interesting assistant special teams coordinator over there on the Eagles sideline that I think Colts fans might want to learn a little bit more about.
I don't even know our special teams coordinator.
Hey, a lot of times they aren't known. I think this is it. Joe Panunzio.
Panunzio.
Panunzio, but hey, I mean, I think he was the assistant there. But the Colts definitely, because of what Bubba meant to this team, that's definitely something on the mind. Colts loyalists asked Gio, how long do you think it will take Steichen to lead us back to the playoffs? It's a good question.
If not this year, next year. I think what he showed from Philly in 2 years, man, this year is gonna be. I think this year we'll make it into the wild card.
I mean, it's very possible. I know a lot of people. I mean, they're the cut. I like this. I like saying that the cupboard isn't bare because there is plenty of talent on this Colts team. It's about getting it to mesh. It's about getting the offensive line to play up to their potential. And it's about how you support a rookie quarterback. And I think the moves that the Colts have done so far this offseason, getting Shane Steichen, bringing in Jim Bob Cooter as the offensive coordinator. And then kind of our next question from Steve for you. Can Gio help get Roy Istvan, the assistant offensive line coach for the Eagles over here? I don't know if you got any pull there, but hey, we would certainly take him. So it's because the Eagles have the best offensive line coach in the NFL in Jeff Stoutland. But I'm sure the Colts fans would love to have Roy Istvan over here on the Colts sideline.
Jeff Stoutland is superhuman. That's all.
He is. He really is. But
I don't know if y'all have ever seen the video, like when it's introducing the offense for the Eagles, and Jordan Mailata goes, Jordan Mailata, Jeff Stoutland University.
Yep. And really that is crazy because I mean, Mailata, he's a guy that never played football in his life, was a rugby player. And he spends a few years under Stoutland and he becomes a franchise left tackle. And the man is one of the biggest humans on the face of the earth too. He's a literally it's hard to even let alone move the guy, but you have to go run like a mile just to get around him. And what he has done there with that Eagles offensive line, and they're all homegrown too. You see Howie Roseman go out there and draft all of these guys, and they continue to just push out great offensive linemen. You've seen it with Jason Kelsey, who is going to make it to the Hall of Fame. Lane Johnson, one of the best right tackles in the entire NFL, and we can go on and on and on. But it's what I think has made the Eagles so successful over the years, and it's why that even when Carson Wentz was traded and they brought in Jalen Hurts, I mean, when you have a rock solid offensive line like that, it's very easy to be able to turn things around and in a quick manner.
Yeah. I think that this Colts offense especially will turn around. I think if we can get Shaquille Leonard back to healthy, boom, playoffs easily. We'll be in the conference.
Yeah, as Colts loyalists say, Steichen had me excited. Gio has me looking for a wall to run through. Go Colts! So you're getting Colts fans fired up, Gio. And here's a good question from the real Mr. Colt. Hey Gio, is Steichen going to steal Kelsey Bradbury and Brandon Graham from the Eagles? That's a pipe dream for a Colts fan.
We do not have enough cap space for that, nor do I think it's possible. Howie will never give up those guys. And Howie, I have to say something about Howie. Howie is the most critiqued in the league, but he is also the most clutch when it comes to drafting people. I got the opportunity to meet Howie in person last year at the Combine. He said, "Who do we need to draft?" And I said, "Howie, just draft a linebacker. It's going to be okay."
I was going to bring that up because I remember you last year on the draft coverage there on NFL Network, you said, "Howie, for the love of God, get us a linebacker." And look what he did. So now my guess is Howie's probably going to reach out to you again. Now, finish this sentence for me for the 2023 Eagles. Howie, for the love of God, get me a blank.
Cornerback.
Cornerback. There we go.
Ooh, there you
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Right.
So hey, add somebody with you already got Darius Slay. You already got James Bradbury. You got CJ Gardner Johnson there back in the secondary. And this guy just wants all the cornerbacks, all the defensive backs to load up in a passing league here. And Stats Matt comes in with a compromise. Fine, we'll settle for Hassan Reddick. We'll gladly take Hassan Reddick off your hands there, Gio. But the chat's been awesome tonight, feeding your questions here. I've got one last question for you, and it kind of pertains to I mean, you already said that you think that the Colts can make it to the playoffs. So I'm going to put you in Shane Steichen's shoes for just a second. Yeah, put your Shane Steichen hat on. What do you think is going to be the first thing or the main thing that he goes in there trying to fix? I know we talked about the quarterback position, and that's a given. But what do you think? What do you think is going to be the biggest, I would say, change under Shane Steichen between the Steichen head coaching era in Indianapolis and the Frank Reich era in Indianapolis?
I feel like one issue that I've noticed, especially with this Colts organization, that I think that Steichen and Mr. Irsay need to address is all these injuries, man. You can't play the top level of ball with this many injuries. Something's got to be off with the medical staff or something. Too many injuries. I feel like once we get that assessed, get the reason to why there's so many injuries, then we're golden.
I would agree. I mean, the Colts really have been bitten by the injury bug lately, and we got real quick. We'll have one more stats, Matt, and this is a good question. Where would you like to see Carson Wentz next season if he does end up not staying in Washington? Where would you like to see Carson Wentz go, and where do you think is the best situation for Carson moving forward?
That is a great question. Carson Wentz in Vegas would be crazy.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Could you imagine Carson Wentz with Devontae Adams?
There's plenty of weapons.
He'd ball out with Carson.
Oh my God.
Plenty of weapons there in Las Vegas, and hey, that's what I think. I think Carson needs a fresh start. I think he needs to go somewhere where there's not as much pressure on him. Just go out there and play ball, and I think that's when Carson Wentz is at his best, is when he's not overthinking things. He's not worried about all the stuff from the outside. He's just going out there slinging the pill around. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. I like I've said. I mean, yeah, it didn't work out here in Indy, but Carson Wentz is an incredible human being, a great guy. I know you and him have a very close relationship, and I can't say enough about Carson Wentz the person, as far as his character and the type of guy and type of man that Carson Wentz is.
Yeah, I think that just everything that he does on and off the field, the guy can make some plays on the field, and I feel like everybody overlooks that. But he's a phenomenal player. He's a bit scared, and to be honest, I feel like I don't understand why we're judging him. We'd be scared too if our knee just peeled apart against the Rams. We'd be nervous going out there after we get hit in the back and we're throwing up and can't remember who our wife is.
Yeah.
We'd be nervous too, to say the least. So I feel like he's just way too critiqued. The guy can go out there and be him. So we just gotta put him in a good situation with some guys, and please get him out of those ketchup and mustard.
I'm hoping for his sake. I'm hoping the same. And Colts loyalist says Devontae Adams next year with Carson Wentz. yards per catch, 32.4. I mean, just setting NFL records out there from Wentz to Adams. But Gio, we really appreciate you coming on. You're a rock star, buddy, and I'm going to let you take however long you need to kind of plug your show, plug what you're doing. I know we had a good conversation about you heading down to Bloomington here pretty soon. So go ahead and tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, pretty much this entire week is gonna be jam-packed if y'all wanna see some content of Combine, IU basketball. Follow me on Twitter at Geo the Podcaster. Me and Kenny Moore are gonna be accepting a check of $10,000 for a foundation called A Kid Again. I'm very excited to go to the game, not only to see my guy Xavier Johnson and guys like that, but to accept this check, not only with my guy Kenny Moore, to be there with him will be awesome, but to give back to this community, to give back to these kids and be able to be a part of that, just cannot wait. These kids deserve every moment, and I can't wait for that. Next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I will be at the Combine interviewing players. I have media passes for every day. If you're going to be there, I'll be on the field. If you see me, just holler at me. Come say hi. I'd love to see all y'all there. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
Drake and I are going to be at the Combine this weekend. So I'll if I don't see you, I'll shoot you a DM real quick and we'll try to meet up because that would just be awesome. But yes, everyone, please go ahead. And if you don't follow him already, what are you doing with your life? Go ahead and follow at Gio the Podcaster on Twitter. His show is the Giovanni Show. It's fantastic. Exclusive interviews with NFL all pros all the time. And hey, if Rich Eisen invites you on NFL Network, don't be afraid to give the Horseshoe Huddle a shout out as well. we love that. But hey, seriously, buddy, we really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, you're a rock star, and I'm sure we'll have you on again here soon to talk some more Colts football.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Anytime you guys need me, I'm on here.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Giovanni Hamilton, Gio the Podcaster, absolute legend, joining us here on the Horseshoe Huddle, and you guys will see him again here soon. So yeah, that was great. That was absolutely awesome. That was one of the best interviews we've ever had on this show. The kid knows his stuff, so please go follow him, go support him, because if you haven't heard his name already, it's definitely not going to be the last time you hear of Giovanni Hamilton. So great job. A lot of fun there. So Drake, let's move it along to some of the other Colts news going around. And obviously the one that everybody has been talking about, it's going to be about Bubba Ventrone. So as was announced today, I put out an article about it as soon as the news broke. Colts special teams coordinator Bubba Ventrone has been hired by the Cleveland Browns as their assistant head coach and special teams coordinator. So Bubba got a little bit of a promotion by going over to Cleveland. So good. I would say good for Bubba, and we kind of knew eventually that this was going to happen. We obviously didn't want it to happen this soon because we were hoping he would stick around with the Colts, but I think this is going to be a bigger loss than people necessarily think.
Yeah, when you hear it's kind of funny that because a lot of people they don't really know the special teams coordinators, and it was actually funny that Gio kind of spaced on the Eagles too. So. But when it comes to Bubba Ventrone, he has increased the efficiency of the Colts special teams every single year. I've said this a bunch of times. He has head coach written all over him. And now he's going to the Browns where they're going to promote him to the assistant head coach and special teams coordinator. I will say, looking back, I wish he could have been the interim head coach. It would have been very interesting to see what he just could have done with nothing to lose. Maybe he wins 4, 5, 6, 7 games. You just never know. But there's candidates, as our own Destin Adams wrote about. There are candidates out there, good ones too, even right there in Lucas Oil Stadium. There's candidates, but big loss, and I think the Browns are getting one heck of a guy, one heck of a natural-born leader who's also played for the Browns in the past.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I if you know me from back on a Colts podcast, Brandon and I talked about this, that Bubba Ventrone was going to be a head coach in the NFL someday. And of course I'm not privy to if the Colts, I don't think if the only reason that Bubba Ventrone left, I can't share this on the show, is that he was not going to leave the Colts unless he received a promotion. So that is where the assistant head coach came into play. If he wouldn't have received that assistant head coaching promotion, Bubba Ventrone would still be with the Colts. So I can tell you that. But there are definite candidates out there. None have really been named as of right now. If you want to know one of them that might be a top candidate, make sure you listen to Locked On Colts tomorrow. I think Zach Hicks has some insider information there, just to give you a little hint there. But yeah, I mean, there are candidates out there. It could be somebody from inside the Colts organization, and Joe Hastings, who was the assistant special teams coach. It could be somebody like Rich Bisaccia if the Colts wanted to elevate him to assistant head coach. But I do think that as far as special teams goes, I think the Colts will be fine. The Colts wouldn't have let Bubba Ventrone out of the building if they didn't have a very suitable candidate to take over for him in mind. So I think that the Colts aren't sweating this. Obviously, Bubba is a great coach, but I do think overall Indianapolis will be fine.
Yeah, and they're one of my favorite candidates. I'll just go ahead and say it is a guy that interviewed for the head coaching position. That's Rich Bisaccia. I mean, he might have an opportunity to be an assistant head coach. And a special teams coordinator, just like Bubba got with Cleveland. And you're talking about a guy who has done nothing but coach special teams his entire career, which has been extensive to say the least. So the Colts will be fine. But the thing is, you're talking about a young stud in Bubba, and all the best wishes for the guy. Obviously, Chris Ballard and the organization loves him. There's a reason that they allowed him to do this. And I'm sure that they're probably, very proud of what he's been able to do. And they're looking forward, as we all are, to seeing what he's going to do for the Cleveland Browns.
Right. And as Chad said, they had to have already had someone in mind. They could have blocked him from interviewing. Yeah, that is correct.
Good point.
And then here's Stats Matt saying McAfee for special teams coordinator. But in all seriousness, it's Joe Hastings or Leon Washington are his vote. Leon Washington would be a really good candidate. And then Wyatt Law says, hopefully Bubba did a solid job of preparing his assistant, Joe Hastings. Very well could be him. Nathan says, I'm a miss Bubba. I think a lot of people are going to miss Bubba Ventrone. But let's talk about some of the signings that the Colts made this week. We'll start out with the one that they signed yesterday. The Colts signed cornerback Kevin Tolliver II. He was an undrafted free agent a couple years ago, a former member of the Bears and of the Broncos, and I think he was last on the Baltimore Ravens practice squad. Didn't ever play with them. The last meaningful games he really played in was in 2020. But he's a big, tall corner, 6'2", and that's kind of what Gus Bradley likes in this defensive system. Really tall cornerbacks, something that Chris Ballard likes too.
Well, and with the combination of guys like Buckner and guys like Stewart and guys like Kwity Paye and potentially Dangbo, or if they re-sign Ngakoue, he could be a package guy that could be put into some situations where his athleticism is going to be it's going to be able to be used effectively. And like you said, 6'2" for a cornerback, that's very physical. And if you try to throw over or around this guy, he's probably going to deflect the pass. He's going to take it away. I mean, he could potentially be a nice depth piece and a good package guy. Maybe, come in or I think he would kind of, like you said, fit that Gus Bradley scheme really well. So I think it's a pretty good signing, and they got it for cheap.
Yeah, and Stats Matt, it's not an episode of Stats Matt doesn't take the words right out of my mouth. Some decent depth for camp at the worst with these two signings, and Tolliver can't be any worse than Faison. So I mean, hey, Brandon Faison experience wasn't exactly the greatest.
It was rough.
Indianapolis, but rough. And then the final signing they made was they signed wide receiver Malik Turner, and he's a guy that has had a little bit more production. I think he's a 5-year NFL veteran. He has 400 yards and 4 touchdowns touchdowns in the NFL over his 4 years. But again, a taller wide receiver. I think he's again over 6 foot, something that is a requisite for a wide receiver under Chris Ballard. But again, I think this is somebody that is going to try out over the spring, might be able to make it to camp and kind of show what he's made of there, kind of just get some depth as the Colts head into the next season.
Well, and hey, you're talking about a guy who played for the Seahawks with Russell Wilson. Then he plays for the Cowboys with Dak Prescott, and then he plays for Kyle Shanahan right there in San Francisco. So, I mean, if there's anything that he's got going for him, he knows good offense. He knows good quarterbacks, and he's going to be walking into a situation where he's trying out for a rookie. That's more than likely going to lead the team and start day one. So, he might surprise some people, but I think at the end of the day, kind of like Stats Matt said, these are 2 depth signings, and the Colts are just hoping, hey, maybe there's high upside, maybe they'll surprise us, and maybe they could potentially make an impact for a rookie quarterback.
Absolutely. So yeah, so some depth signings to end the week, and Drake. The combine is less than a week away, and that's when things are really going to start cooking. But hey, that's our show for tonight, guys. Really, again, appreciate Giovanni for coming on and really giving us just a different insight, different point of view of Shane Steichen, from somebody who's a diehard Eagles fan, watched every single game of the Eagles the past 2 seasons. No one better to get there to get some knowledge on the new Colts head coach than Giovanni Hamilton. So if you haven't followed him already, please go do that at Gio the podcaster. Go ahead and give his show a listen, and send him a comment. Send him a comment on Twitter if you appreciate him coming on. Tell him how much we really had some fun tonight, because as the Horseshoe Huddle community, we always like to welcome our guests. So hey, Drake, before we get out of here, you know what I do at every episode. Go follow everything of us too. We're still trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm still
almost
trying
there.
to.
We're getting
still,
there.
yeah, we're almost at 800. We may be over it as of right now, but hey, I'm gonna shave my head. Drake's doing a TikTok dance. There may even be the potential of a jersey giveaway from Rashad McGinnis. We'll have to see. But hey, go ahead and follow Horseshoe Huddle on Twitter at Colts on FN. Like Horseshoe Huddle on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you know whenever Drake and I are going live, whenever Destin and Shad are going live, so you won't miss anything. Wyatt Law saying the underwear Olympics next week. That's a lot of what it said, and it's fun. Drake and I will be there for a couple days. So if you're down there in the Indy area, give us a shout out, say hello. But before we get out of here, Drake, what are some pieces that you're working on for the site?
So I just released not long ago, should the Colts trade Shaq Leonard? And that has generated quite the comments. I'll tell you that. Inside note, they shouldn't. They should keep him. But one I just wrote today that hasn't posted yet, but it will, is should the Colts sign Robert Woods? Potentially he could be a decent depth piece. He's a veteran, understands the slot position. He might help a rookie quarterback.
Awesome. Yeah, and Stats Matt said, I tried talking Destin into a stash grow. I'd love to see that. We'll do something. Each one of us will do something special once we get over 1K. But for my pieces, I mean, I've been breaking a lot of the news for Horseshoe Huddle. Talked about Bubba Ventrone and him moving on. I talked about, and then my biggest piece of this week was the bridge slash veteran mentor quarterbacks. A lot of people say, well, we don't need a bridge. Listen, guys, it includes the veteran backup. So go ahead. I put 5 options on there. One guy we talked about tonight, Gardner Minshew. Could there be a reunion with Jacoby Brissett? Could we have someone like the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, being a backup veteran for this rookie quarterback? If you haven't checked it out, please go do so. And Drake and I will be back Monday night to preview the NFL Combine, which is surely going to be very interesting. And all of our eyes are going to be on the quarterback position. So go follow Drake Wally at DWalsterDrake. You can follow me at Andrew Moore NFL on Twitter. And we will be back Monday to talk about some college prospects as draft season is alive and well. We'll see you guys then.